Hey, I'm Chez and welcome back to the Untitled channel. So in this video, we're going to be discussing some of the reasons why your boss wants you back in the office in a post-pandemic life. Why so many in the architecture and landscape industry have been advocating for the complete return to the office. And sincerely, why should we? So with that said, let's get into the video. Since COVID has hit the world, people have to adapt and show resilience. From the new spread culture of working from home to agile working places and a hybrid model of workspace sharing, it's been a very disruptive year. The concept of work has changed forever. While for some this was not new at all, for many in the landscape and architectural industry, this change has played an extremely disruptive role. And yes, a lot of practices have had to quickly migrate to TeamViewer, remote control and other softwares, or perhaps to VPN systems to control and access remote servers. We've all had to find some extra space in our house for extra desks or work tables, and our habits have definitely had to change. Some have gained time from their commutes, others have lost their morning cycle or run. For many, working from home has been extremely beneficial, but the other side of the coin is that there are some who cannot bear to stay at home and work from there, especially those that were extremely happy to migrate to remote working at the beginning of 2020, and now they're so tired of directing their team from a screen, as opposed to those who have embraced completely the working from home system to the very extreme. I wanted to begin the video with a story that would probably resonate or perhaps just be a little bit familiar with most of you guys who are watching. The story I'll read out, it's of some executive, director, principal, somebody of a higher position in an architectural or landscape and design practice, and we're gonna call this person Turd. The story of Turd is very familiar. A high-paid role level who before the pandemic would get up and get ready, go to the office and engage with staff to make sure they were doing what he said. Most times Turd would delegate his work to other employees and then disappear for hours during the day. Turd kept using a strategy of taking credits for many decisions and walking around the office always looking busy and stressed, until the pandemic sent everybody home. So suddenly Turd finds himself at home, stuck in front of a screen, with no clue what other people are doing, or at least not a direct sight of them. Nostalgia of FaceTime and sharing chit-chatting from desk to desk begins to kick in. The team of employees under the wings of Turd are hitting all deadlines, being ultra productive and efficient, receiving compliments for outstanding work from clients, pretty much better than prior to the pandemic. And yet, Turd is not happy. All communications take place over a Teams chat or a Zoom call. How's your weekend been is no longer an hour-long conversation in a meeting room, but rather a 10-minute chat on a Monday morning. Turd finally realizes that most of his work was just walking around the building, chatting to other staff members, really one of the highest paid role just for strolling around. So guys, this story is not really based on any person in particular, but I'm sure aspects of this story are familiar in one way or another. There are many people like Turd holding very high position, which in my view they're overpaid for what they actually do. And it is often the case that eventually they'll feel embarrassed about this. And this will eventually bring them to fear that others will realize and eventually will replace them. So the only solution in their mind is that of spreading the idea that working from home is not a good thing, it's pure evil. It should be eliminated, we should all go back to the office, blah 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 blah. There's an article I was reading on the website Medium, which is titled Reasons Why Your Boss Needs You Back in the Office. Made me laugh so much. I'll be reading chunks of this and give examples that will probably not be very new for many of you. But the funniest one is this satirical interpretation of Apple's CEO Tim Cook and his letter to employees. Bear in mind, the following reading is only an interpretation of the actual letter that Tim Cook sent to his employees. For the real letter that Tim Cook sent to his employees, just check out the link in the description. So, dear worker bees, we know many of you are happy and productive working remotely. We know you're sleeping 8 hours a night, that you've replaced your typhus-filled commute with walking your dog each morning, and that since leaving our fluorescent hellscape of an office, your migraines are finally under control. Financially, your absence in the office has had no impact on our bottom line. We're actually reporting all-time revenue highs in some departments. One example is our 16% year-on-year increase to 13.3 billion in revenue in a single quarter. However, I desperately miss having my ego stroked That's what I meant by hum of activity. All this quiet introspection while working alone in a room like the rest of you has made me wonder, what if I'm not very important? Thus, I decree that by September of 2021, all employees must forfeit your new, happier lives in areas with reasonable housing prices and return to that awful metro area with equally high mortgage and crime rates. It makes perfect sense that even though you can do your job from anywhere, I get to tell you where you must do it. I built a big shiny headquarters and I really don't want to look foolish if it's empty. I'm too important. Sincerely, your insecure corporate overlord. Now, the letter interpreted by the author is very, very partial, if you like, but there are many truths in my opinion. The author definitely doesn't really show any empathy for those who feel this way. Also, assuming that everyone's happy working from home is a little bit far-fetched, really. I'm personally enjoying a hybrid version where I work from home part of the week and the remaining part I work from the office. And so that's perhaps what I'll be advocating going forward. A website quoted by the author is actually super useful. It's called Blind. It's an anonymous social media platform where people with legitimate company emails, they can sign up, log in, and then essentially write useful comments, info about the company they work for. And so perhaps you could find really interesting stuff in there, reliable maybe, but also complete full horseshit. The author of the article also identifies different reasons why your boss really needs you back in the office, and so let's find out together. So one of the reasons could be perhaps that your boss is fighting with his wife or her husband. So this employer says most people who don't have children say the same. Family is the backbone of society. Children need to develop normally, whatever that means. Men need to be out of the house, wives need their space back, and conflict will reduce. I think this one's actually a bit ridiculous. I mean, of course it's possible, hence why somebody's written it down on the website. But come on, it appears that large families cannot adapt to working from home, and is it too hectic? I share a flat with my girlfriend and we both have a full-time job. We work a few days in the office and a few days at home. It actually works out pretty well because we help each other out when one has commitment at different times. But then again, your boss could be fed up or fighting with his wife or her husband, and it's totally possible that they want to be back in the office. But why should you? One other person goes on about the fear of dying cities. And so this employee goes by saying, so glad this working from home nonsense is coming to an end. I love cities and don't want them to die out in favour of suburbs or little villages. And remember, no great things were ever accomplished in social isolation. Okay, first of all, to define working from home nonsense, I definitely don't agree with that. I mean, some forward-thinking businesses have actually completely abandoned renting an office. Why? Because they saved a lot of money, especially in a place like London. And what do they do with what they save? Well, they can raise people's salaries or they can invest in research and development. I mean, I understand that not everybody's happy with the working from home situation, but to call it nonsense, it makes no sense. You see what I did there? Anyhow, I think the point of this comment of this employee is that the fear of isolation and so not being able to communicate and challenge each other and challenge each other's ideas, especially in an industry like ours, which is creative and subjective, everybody wants their ideas out and their ideas to win. It becomes problematic. But I think these are things that can be overcome. There are several collaborative apps like Miro, to name just one. They work perfectly. And so this being isolated to produce ideas is bullshit. Also, the employee speculates that cities would die in favor of small villages. I mean, well, economies evolve, cities evolve too. And COVID has brought people to move away from big city centers. They push people out. And what did that cause? It caused that people had to stop commuting and they're no longer eating sandwiches at Pret, but actually they're eating home-cooked meals from a locally sourced supplier. Listen, big cities, big metropolitan multicultural cities will not die out. They will adapt. Yes, the buzz and bust of a city centre is lost. Some cafes and shops have closed. The cities will evolve. Business model will change and therefore economics will adapt. So I'm definitely not worried about cities dying out in favour of villages or suburbs. Another one reason why your boss wants you back in the office is perhaps the unused social and networking skill, the so-called soft skills. Another Amazon employee begins to state, I don't understand you people. Let's be honest, we all loved working from home because we could do nothing or take naps whenever we wanted. Is it nice? Fuck yeah. Is it good for us? Probably not. Most people can benefit from 1. Face-to-face interaction with colleagues, 2. Face-to-face interaction with other people, 3. Walking to the bus stop, parking lot or lunch place, 4. Having lunch with someone was better than any meditation technique I have ever tried. First of all, who the fuck does naps because of work from home? I mean, it's possible, don't get me wrong, but that's no reason to brag about working from home as not the solution, and so a way for everybody to go back to the office. That's totally unfair, because many workers are finding themselves much more productive, much more efficient, and they can be much better than they were before, actually avoiding all of that time wasted chit-chatting, having wasteful meetings, and often just not getting where they need to be. That's sometimes the cause of overtime work. Then this guy speaks of soft skills and social anxiety. These are skills that are essential at times, talking to clients for new projects to come in, and so for a practice to be kept busy. But let's remember that without firepower, those soft skills are not very useful. And so it's clear that this employee, like many other people in our industry, they're a bit unhappy because using their soft skill from their room is no longer that useful, because they need to be in the office with a large audience. And finally, another reason could be that once you're not in the office, you become unreal. So another employee says, it's not just that I want people in the office for socializing. If we're remotely working 100%, why should I care about you? Why should I respect you? Why should I listen to your opinion or hold it in any regard? Are you even human? Are you real? In the great remote future, to me, you're just a bunch of bits my laptop turns into photons and sound waves. I truly hate working with virtual colleagues. Might as well quit my job and start playing Second Life 24/7 because that's even more efficient. Okay, so this is another person with a very extreme opinion, almost sociopathic, to the point to which they say that why should they respect anyone who's not physically in the office? That's just bonkers. As if people were just machines, you know, puppets or monkeys. Honestly, the future might even be more flexible than the current work from home situation. And so be ready for more of these sociopathic comments and ideas. In all of these examples, there's a bit of truth, but also there's a lot of arrogance too. Not everyone's been able to enjoy the working from home situation, be it for, I don't know, crowded flat sharing, or the need for social interaction, or for whatever other reasons, really. But should bosses let workers stay at home, or should they really work hard to get people back in the office? Or perhaps there's another way where you find a hybrid solution in between? Assuming that everybody's happy or unhappy is totally wrong. Working from home can be better for some and worse for others. So the biggest challenge is to embrace other people's views and empathically together find different solutions. Solutions that are efficient, cost effective, and they make everybody happy. And where those solutions are not possible, well, you know, compromises must be found. We all have to recognize that there are positive aspects to it, such as workers' flexibility, and in some cases even lower overheads for employers. Some negative aspects may be about trust in company and the different company culture. Each business is assessing what their best solution is, short-term and long-term. But the general opinion from the grapevine is that a hybrid solution is the preferred and more sustainable option for most businesses in the architecture and landscape industry. But we will see how this will unravel as we move forward. And so I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you've experienced anything like this, let me know down in the comments. How do you feel about working from home? Do you think that you've actually improved? Are you more productive and you're a much more valuable asset now? Or perhaps you really want to go back to what was called normality, you know, the old normality. And you know, you want your desk space, office, and those 5 days a week with your old colleagues. Let me know what you think in the comments. And of course, thanks so much for watching. And if you enjoyed the video, click the like button, subscribe to my channel, leave your comments below and let me know your thoughts. And if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know. Until the next video, see ya!